This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth. I'm out at the Cherry Grove beach right now. And I want this to be, I'm going to have it a bit longer. Wanted to show you what it's like out here. There was a baby fox on the beach there a little bit earlier ago. I can see the sun just peeking up right now. There we go. So the optical clarity isn't quite as good as a direct recording. However, the fact that it's a live broadcast has a benefit to it. In a world of so much make-believe and synthetically generated reality, like a computer-generated dream world that Morpheus talked about in The Matrix. I'm gonna put this on my tripod. Let me, uh-oh. There we go. Hey, thanks. Good to see you on the live stream. Hey, what's pretty cool now with the different, how would I say, dietary and lifestyle choices, including not wearing sunglasses for a couple years. I don't need corrective eyewear anymore. And the Ray-Bans look cool, but I don't wear them. Works better without. I get a better suntan, and then the other thing is I end up getting not burned as much, sunburn that is. And I believe not having the eyeglasses right in front of my eyeballs helped my optical function. That's pretty amazing, actually, seeing that like that. So if you think I missed something or got it wrong, you could give me a call or send me a link. That would be just fine. There are so many topics that I cover in the Truth through the Truth Network. It's not just me talking about things, it's what I found and what I share. And doing the research is really interesting. I will hear a video, a mention in a video, and a name or a topic, and I'll look it up. I'll YouTube it. One of the things that's been really transformative in how I can manage my library is to use the voice prompt. So, like, for example, Chase Hughes interviews, Chase Hughes on Joe Rogan. I'll just mention that and it'll show up. So, like when I'm doing my deep tissue massage in my grounded electrolyte enhanced reverse osmosis water, I've got the ground wire going into the electrical ground. I'm grounded a good part of the day, probably about 80%. And it's easier to do a voice prompt than typing with my fingers. So this video today is going to be a little bit different in that I am going to cover a few topics and thoughts that I have about how I got here. I wanted to know if I was truly born of the Spirit, why I was struggling so much with the flesh. And I found out the reason for that is that's all I had. And right about that time that I had that realization, I believe the Holy Spirit gave me new life. So the Holy Spirit removed the veil from in front of my eyes and heart and helped me to realize I was walking in my own strength, that I was living in my own strength, trying to do stuff for God. And what I found out is all of that is comparable to filthy rags compared to the works that He leads and He created in advance for me to do. So the short version is I thought I was born again in 1982, until I actually was in 2014. And the changes that He brought in my life in that period of time, since I was actually born of the Spirit, was so significant. I wanted to let others know that that's what happened to me. I was doing full-time ministry after in the 90s. I was working at a full-time ministry, helping to build a megachurch, and we were homeschooling our sons, living out in the country, grinding our own wheat, making our own homemade bread, and chopping firewood and all that. Working a lot of hours, fixing up, renovating homes and living in them and selling them, making a nice profit in that. All the while, spiritually deader than a hammer, and I didn't know it. So one of the big equalizing verses that Jesus says, "What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul?" I remember seeing that on a silo in Wisconsin next to a barn. Big Gothic letters, beautifully, professionally done. And I was a teenager at the time, and I thought, well, if that's true, I'm going to need to make some changes. Now, it was on that silo for many years. And in my teenage years especially, I started to indulge in alcohol and then eventually marijuana when I was about 17. So there's a lot of experience that I've had, and I've got a real effective memory. And I remember what life used to look like for me and what it looks like now. So radically different. So it wasn't only that He set me free from so many addictions and my own self-effort. He gave me hope and a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it was really unpopular. Telling the truth about what really matters is really, I found it to be really unpopular with so many. And like I've said so many times, and I'm going to repeat myself. I don't mind. I hope you don't mind. Um, the truth isn't based on popular opinion. It's not popular and it's not an opinion. It's simply the reality. So if we were to look at language like a mathematical equation, I believe that there's a very good comparison or an accurate situational awareness is the truth about that. Truth equals reality. I believe that's very similar. And what's been integrated in our world is a lot of deception, falsities mixed with different admixtures of truth on a wide variety of topics. So I found out I can learn whatever the Almighty wants me to learn, and then to apply it, leveraging the very system that I'm exposing, leveraging it for good, using artificial intelligence to turn a voice prompt into a result on a video and move it around in my playlist. It's a research library. I've got probably over 25,000 unique videos on my channel, and then you could look at the channel creator that did the video that you're watching. I have only a very small percentage of the videos in my library. The library crosses over multiple platforms: YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and more. And you can take a look at that if you like. So when I found out the Earth wasn't a spinning, wobbling, gyrating water ball hurling through space, I realized the significance of that right away. And just like similar to the significance of realizing we didn't evolve from monkeys and two tiny amoeba like Bugs Bunny talked about in the cartoons, and then we get it in the schools and documentaries, so to speak, and then the Santa Claus lie. I was given the Santa Claus lie and believed it, like many, up until the age of 7, when that was, then we were racing to land on the moon and drinking Tang, eating space food in mylar tubes or aluminized tubes in the 60s, 69. I remember seeing the fake moon landing on a black and white TV with aluminum foil on the rabbit ears in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. I bought it. Why would they lie about that? So I've got memes in my photo album on Facebook. I've got thousands and thousands of photos and memes on Facebook. One of them is E.T. holding the phone to phone home, and Richard Nixon talking supposedly to the astronauts on the moon. So the official lie is that we're rotating the direction of the sun approximately 1,000 miles an hour to see that view. To see the sun apparently rotate around us, or we're apparently rotating towards the sun, giving us the perspective of the change of view of the sun. Well, that's not accurate. It's a lie. I'm gonna just leave the camera right where it is and zoom out a little bit. So we live on a stationary level plane with a firmament above us. You can read about it in Genesis 1 in the Bible. And there's other religions, spiritual perspectives that also teach we live on a motionless plane. Got all kinds of proof of that in the research library I've compiled. Some people would want to know if they were deceived. Others apparently don't. And I don't know who is who. I would like to see everybody believe the truth. And yet I don't have the ability to change people's beliefs. I can present, it's not my ability or responsibility to cause people to believe something different. So I've noticed something in the way that I've talked, and I'll hear other people talk where they say, I don't believe that's true, or I don't think that's true. And in actuality, I believe a more accurate way of expressing the thought, what they're trying to say, is I believe that's not true, or I believe that is true. But when somebody says I don't believe, or I don't think, it just isn't the most effective way of stating that perspective. And does what we believe actually matter? I would say it does, for sure. What we believe about ourselves, what we believe about who we are, whose we are we a child of the Almighty or spawn of Satan, the fallen one? I don't know, I can't tell for sure. For other people, I believe I'm a child of the Most High. He radically changed me and caused me to believe that He's real, His word is true. And what is His word? There's a lot of different translations, languages, original texts. And then there's different names referring to the Almighty. The person of Jesus Christ also goes by Yeshua. And in Revelation, the reference is His name is the Word of God. And then He is the way, the truth, the life. Nobody comes to the Father but through Him. So He's the reason why I named my YouTube channel Truth, and I have a link tree that's in the description. You can check it out if you care to. That goes over to these other platforms, including a Google result for my name. You could Google me, see what you find. There may be some untruths about me. Could very well be. And from what I understand, everybody gets their own search result curated by an artificial intelligence that is doing more than giving us an answer. It's affecting how we see it, how we believe it. Now, notice where the reflection is compared to where I started out in this video, where the sun's location was. So further away, as in the winter months, is down lower on the horizon. It affects how we build buildings, or could. Earthships typically have a southern-facing orientation for a wall of windows to bring in the heat from the sun in the winter. Now in Australia, how you doing there? Apparently they need to have their windows facing north to get the sun in the winter. Food for thought. It's just a reality. You can see Michael Reynolds, who pioneered the process of building with repurposing resources from tires and recyclables, recycling glass and all of that. I've got different construction methods in my library, from that to using adobe, mud bricks with straw, using the thermal variability of the adobe. Adobe homes in the that I've got in my library have tests that were run on them, and they've been able to be in cold and hot climates without any additional heating or cooling systems. Might want to check that out. And so you can see the conspiracy, an actual conspiring of building materials providers that wrote the codes to keep certain types of alternative construction out of the building code. Good morning. So there are an actual kaleidoscope of conspiracy theories about a wide variety of topics, and then there's the truth about some of those intermingled with that. So a mingling of truth and deception, including theological, the view of God, eschatological, the view of last days or last things. And there's a lot of controversy around that. Probably more controversy about how different spiritual perspectives see the end of days. You can check it out. I've got world-recognized Bible teachers talking about the first century return of Jesus, coming back when he said he would, and the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Quite often when people have a futurized view of the end of days or the apocalypse, a lot of times they're Zionists trying to hurry it along with the wars. It's all around people in the modern evangelical and charismatic movements. So it's either true or not true. Whatever it is that you want to know about. I just wanted to know the truth about everything that matters. And what can I do? How can I live my life in a way that is going to honor and glorify God and give me the best experience of it all? So rather than doing Jesus stuff and hoping that he likes it, I just want to find out what he created me to do and then rely on him to resource me to carry that out. Resource as in insight or inspiration to carry it out, to have the volition to want to do it. Financial resources to accomplish it. So right now I'm using, leveraging, many of us are, a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure, the electrical grid, the cellular, satellite, Wi-Fi, the cell phone or computer that I'm using a iPhone Pro Max 17 because it works better than my 6-year-old phone was. And then there's whatever device you're watching it on. I watch a lot of TV. It's my big screen TV with YouTube on it. My YouTube channel. And then I can watch other people's created content. That's how I find much of this information, through the network of truth tellers and deceivers. So you can hear the commentary on how Zionism is unbiblical. The rapture, as it's been popularized by Hal Lindsey and Timothy Jenkins, or Timothy LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins with the Left Behind series, showing people leaving their underwear and eyeglasses on trains, planes, and automobiles. It's unbiblical. It's not a reality. And if you believe I'm wrong on that, you could send me a link if you want to. You could give me a call if you want to. I used to buy into that. I went to Chuck Smith's Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, California, where there were, not just there, but at the Bible studies and that, flowered shirt, Hawaiian shirts and flip-flops and unbiblical theology, eschatology, and soteriology. Soteriology is the nature of salvation. I believe the Bible teaches a monergistic version of that. Predestination. If you believe I've got that wrong, go ahead and send me all the information you want to my phone number. I'm fine with that. Let's see what you can see if we flip this around. So I'm just chilling here, enjoying this, talking to y'all. I went to the lanyard because I have these stickers and it's a couple of bucks and I can wear it on any outfit I want, including a swimsuit with the way that I walk around here quite often. So let's flip this back around. There we go. In foundational belief systems, like what we believe is true and the most important truth, that is a big deal. And people get really, really passionate and angry and all of that. Like the dichotomy or the difference between an atheist or a born-again Christ follower, or an atheist and a Jesus follower that may not be born again yet or may never be born again. How's that? I've got significant people in my life that say it's the same thing to be born again and a Jesus follower or a Christian. They're not. I was following Jesus, spiritually dead, and then he gave me his Holy Spirit. Wow. I would have liked to have that happen a whole lot earlier. That's why I talk about it. I went to counseling for substance abuse and the grief of my mother dying 32 years ago of cancer treatment. Never once was it brought up that I might not be born again yet when I was struggling with alcohol and smoking cigars, and I was operating in my own strength. So I don't need a pill or a potion or a smoke or a vape. I don't need any of that. I don't need any chemicals. I should say, I don't take any pharmaceutical chemicals to regulate my body function or my mental perception. I don't need any drugs for perception management. And yet, even in that, I used to do drugs, including what Chase Hughes was talking about, how magic mushrooms or psilocybin changes the wiring in the brain, actually creates new neural pathways. I remember it. That was in the 80s when I was riding a motorcycle out in Corpus Christi, Texas, and actually rode on out there to the Star Base at Boca Chica before the Star Base was there. That was in 1982. I was smoking weed and taking mushrooms and drinking alcohol and living a wild and crazy life. And then I came to believe that Jesus was real, that the Bible was true, and I was struggling because I had this contradiction in activity, behavior, that I could not stop. Looks like a wedding photo shoot going on out there on the left side. I wanted to leave the camera in the same perspective. That's why I just left it off center. So there's the terminology of neuroplasticity regarding what the Bible refers to somewhat as the renewing of the mind. However, renewing of the mind is different, I understand, than neuroplasticity, in that the renewing of the mind by the power of the Holy Spirit and an eternal perspective that's provided by the Holy Spirit to realize the reality of the existence of the Almighty and the need to be born of the Spirit, and then to realize that regeneration is so profound. I wanted everybody to know about it. So I've got my lanyard, my mic on the lanyard. These are snow pants. I use them for riding the motorcycle when it's chilly, or setting up on the beach when it's windy and chilly and the sun's not up yet. These are made out of sugar cane. They're 5 years old now. I've never had a pair of shoes that lasted 5 years. Imagine that. And now, because my skin is pretty dark, I can pick up plenty of sunshine. Direct heat from the sunshine So what I'll use on my skin as part of the maintenance to protect me from burning is a blend of castor oil and coconut oil and hyaluronic acid, which is like a gel. I get it in powder form, add purified hot water to it, blend it up, and it turns into a gel. So in about, I would say, 5 ounces of castor oil and 5 ounces of coconut oil, I'll add about 1 ounce of the hyaluronic acid. Now I found a real good buy on it on Amazon. I get it for about $10 for 3.5 ounces of powder. That'll make about a gallon of that gel. When I make the gel, I add about a tablespoon of it to approximately 10 ounces of water, hot water. The purified solar activated copper infused water. Like this. Isn't that cool? I've got cool photography showing some of that too. I can actually start a fire with the magnification that the water jug will do. It'll, let's see, can I do it on my hand? Let's see. It'll create a focal point, like a magnifying glass. I caught some grass on fire one time. Another time I had it in my car. I went into a Walmart. I didn't have it on top of the car like I do now. I had it in the inside the car, and I opened up the door of the car, and I thought, wow, it smells like they're grilling hamburgers or something. Oh yeah, it was a focal point on the leather seats of the Lexus, the original Truthmobile. Burned a hole in a seat. So that's one of the things to keep in mind, is that like this bottle right here, if I were to buy it, try and find a bottle like this at a secondhand store, this is from the 60s, it would be about $35. You can look them up. And this one I got for $2 at the Bolinos. They had a yard sale, a spring sale, spring cleaning sale. They were used for bottled water in the 60s. They were selling them for $5 each. I said, what kind of a deal could you give me if I got all of them? And they said $2 a piece. And I said, sold. So I've got them filled with water, and I can put them in the sun and do. It changes the molecular structure of the water. It expands the water. You can test it out. So you add energy. Look at how much bigger the sun looks. It's coming at us. Ta-da! Man, that makes people mad. They just love their globe, or they want to believe that they weren't deceived about it. It's like, well, all of us that believed in the globe and don't anymore, we were deceived. Oh, I think that maybe the photo shoot was a graduation picture. Looks like. They're coming this way. And like I said, I used to believe in that unbiblical end times of the rapture. Now, I do believe to be absent from the body is present with the Lord, just like the Bible says, like the Apostle Paul wrote. And I do believe in the physical death, burial, and resurrection. Out here on April 5th is going to be an Easter celebration. I prefer to refer to it and think about it as Resurrection Day. I think she's got a violin. She does. I think. No, it just kind of looked like it. Or an umbrella, not sure. And I used to believe that people, oh, it is a violin. Ah, how nice. A violin and a bow. So sometimes proximity changes perspective to more accurately see what's going on. But I'm going to leave the camera just the way it is. I could have shown you that, but I think that I believe that this is more important, that I show you that sun reality, the size of it. You can scroll back and forth. If the video is too long, you can for you, or you don't want to hear it, you could watch it in segments or move all the way through it with your cursor and look at it in a matter of seconds. I had a video I did, it was almost 10 hours or 12 hours long. I titled it, I Don't Have Time for That. And it was just a day in the life of the truth guy. And I found time for all kinds of things that I do, like helping people and talking to people, and quite often they'll come up to me. I don't have to go chasing them down, nor do I want to. I'm not selling stuff. I'm not selling Jesus. I'm not selling widgets or any of that. I will make mention of different products in that I find useful, or different substances, like a good full spectrum sea salt I get from Amazon. I'm using what's called So Salt. I really like it. It's apparently some very clean salt. There's more expensive salts. There's Celtic salt, Himalayan salt. However, sodium chloride, table salt, not so healthy. And I've got all kinds of proof of that, teaching on it. Barbara O'Neill helped me to understand more about the importance of a healthy salt that has like upwards of 80 elements that the body needs to operate properly, hydrated, as well as the properly hydrating is really important, and then the trace elements of minerals and that help neurological function, the cellular function. So I'm going to walk into the light beam for a little bit and walk and talk. It's more of a microphone test as well. Microphone and cinematography. I reduced the amount of electrolytes in my bath water to just a pinch of, actually like a teaspoon of so salt. And for years I've been bathing in the RO reverse osmosis water with more salt and magnesium and boron in it. There's different ways of getting those elements in the human body. Transdermal or through the skin is one way. Direct ingestion. There's a pinch of sea salt in here. It structures the water. It helps the cellular activity. The sun actually activates apparently, I mean, I've got nutritionalists and neurologists and all of that, cardiologists that cover these topics, medical doctors, Nobel Prize winning doctors, papers that are written. Everything that I'm going to tell you, I have compiled the supporting data to come to that realization or that belief. Whether it's on Joe Rogan, Diary of a CEO, TrueStream Media, The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, and many, many content creators. I found rather than me making a YouTube video that promotes my Odyssey video or Rumble video, I can have a collection of the best videos about topics that really matter from quality content creators all over the world, exposing the truth and the deception and the people purveying that. Now there are some that are going along with the deception, not knowing it's a deception yet. They don't know. And then there are some deceivers that know intentionally that they are deceiving. So we're in this epic battle between good and evil, and we have the representative families involved in that. The Almighty, I know him as Jesus, Yeshua, the Alpha and Omega, the living Word, the living water, knowing the end from the beginning. And then there's Lucifer, Beelzebub, Satan, the devil. There's names that refer to each of the entities and family members. Now, I had been listening to the Bible for, over 40 years, closer to 50 years. And for the last, I would say, dozen years, pretty regularly, I'm listening to the Bible when I am sleeping and going to sleep and waking up. And sometimes the Holy Spirit integrates His Word into my dreams. So I use it to reprogram myself. And I thought that the antidote for deception was the truth. Not exactly. I came to believe that it's the love of the truth that is a gift from the Holy Spirit to know the ultimate, most important truth in the way of salvation, new life in Christ, and then to navigate through this very complex, very deceptive, corrupt world, powered by Satan and greed. And the Almighty also uses this system of control and the dissemination of information. So there's one of the questions that I had, where do our ideas come from? Do they just originate within our head with whatever we were born with? Well, we have a lot of different influences, like our early programming when we were children, and some people cannot let that go. And I understand that. I believe God's grace is required to love and believe the truth, let alone find it. So how will you know it when it's right in front of you? How can you see it? How can you apprehend and understand it except for it to be by divine intervention? So when I do things different, like change the, okay, so I went shopping the other day at Costco. Coffee's up. Coffee's a lot more expensive. Coconut oil's a lot more expensive. So I'll redirect how I do what I do. I'm using about a third of the beans to make my coffee. I'm good with it. I'll run a half a gallon of water through the coffee beans, and then when it's still hot, I'll dump it into a thermos, and then I'll run another quart through the coffee beans I did before, and then I blend it all together. You can cold brew it too. I've done it. Can put coffee grounds in here, shake it up, and let it sit for a day. Put it in the sun, and then filter it. I've got a bronze coffee filter. It's a brass cone coffee filter. Works great. The coffee pot that I have doesn't have a burner on it. It just has a stainless steel thermal pot. So the heat that is generated to pump it through the coffee maker is the only heat that goes into the water originally. I can reheat it on the stove if I want. I could heat it with gas or electric. I'll use propane on an infrared burner that's highly efficient. I've got a carbon monoxide detector. I've got it on a stovetop. Totally safe, totally cool, and it's an option. If and when the grid goes down, or there's a power outage, or I just turn my electricity off for when it's peak energy. I operate off peak energy. So I cooled the house down, closed the shades, and I'll get back in the later afternoon. I've got my refrigerator running with an Anker power bank that so far has kept it running my whole time of being gone. I got out here this morning a little after 5 o'clock. I was going to be somewhere. This is a beautiful place to be when the sun is approaching and the birds are out and little critters are running around, like the little baby fox I saw. Being connected to being grounded. So about 14 years ago, I had my hearing tested. When I went in there, I said I've got a ringing in my ears. It goes by tinnitus, it's known as that. And I didn't know what the frequency was of the ringing. I wanted to find out. I was curious. And what I found out is that it was 7.83. Apparently, that's the Schumann resonance, or the resonance of the Earth, the vibration of the Earth. When I put my body in the sun and on the salt water, I'm going to be picking up a lot of electricity directly into my body. It's going to energize the cellular activity. Mitochondria, the power converting cells of the human body, converting calories into usable energy. And you can look at the neuroscience experts in my library talking about it. The library is everywhere I've put stuff related to my name and phone number. And the Truth Network is that and more. So, like on Facebook, I've got nearly 10,000 followers, and quite a few of them are truth tellers. So you could go to my friends and see what they got going on. If you like the posts that I shared from them, you could go to their profile and see what other goodies they've got there, what other truth they have there. Maybe send them a friend request. I give preference towards actual human beings rather than bots, chat bots, or catfishing profiles. I don't knowingly have any bot program profiles intentionally left in my friend group. However, just to be clear, I'm not against interacting with a bot. All of our activity online is tracked, traced, database, threat assessed, stored, modeled, linked to quantum supercomputers to model what we've done, what we might do next. And it's the cybernetic collective of humanity linked with nanotechnology deployed through the food, water, air, recreational substances, and more. Now I think we'll be able to see the violin. Let me zoom in a little bit. Just going to walk by the field of view there. Photo op. Good morning. So the car in the parking lot is pretty handy for people to say, oh, you've got a YouTube channel. So sometimes I'm gonna back out here and see how this looks. Sometimes I'll be at a gas station. Good morning. And they're filling up with fuel, a vehicle loaded with a bunch of kids and beach stuff, and they're on their way out of town. And I'll say, here's my card. Feel free to reach out and give me a call if you think I missed something or got it wrong. So I'm involving other people in this quest for knowing the truth and making the truth known. It's not disingenuous. I'm not just saying it to placate somebody or to give them the idea that I care about them. I do care about them, and I may have just met them. I care about all of humanity. I even care about the artificial intelligence and the people that are deceived and may be operating in opposition to the Almighty and our brothers and sisters in Christ. This is an epic battle. If you care to watch the Gospel of John movie or watch it again, in light of much of what we're told being false and conspiracies, you can see how the people conspired to crucify Christ because he was exposing their hypocrisy, and they didn't like it. At one point, he's standing before Pontius Pilate and said, "What is truth?" The truth was standing right in front of him, and he didn't get it. He couldn't get it. So it's a 3-hour movie with many millions of views, and I've got it, the same exact video, I should say, or the same video. Some of them have a little bit on the end that's added that are different, but by and large, it's the same content, the same movie, and I'll feature it, excuse me, from different channels because, excuse me, it's a different iteration or a different version of it with the different comment thread, the different people interacting on that thread, and all of that. So some of the videos that I've featured don't have very many views in the version that you can see, like the Lost Century documentary where Stephen Greer is showing the suppressed energy technology and propulsion systems and the government collusion and conspiracy to the conspiring of corporations with governments to keep beneficial technology, beneficial for humanity, suppressed. So right now, because of our War Department and activity that's going on with Donald Trump and the different war members of the Department of War and what's happening, you, depending on, I don't know who you are exactly listening to this and how you're aware of how the military-industrial complex has conscripted willing, deceived people to do their bidding for their corporate overlords. Oh my gosh, it sounds like a science fiction movie that went live. I think so. But it's real and it's true, whether you like it or not. Now, your livelihood may depend on it. You may be making weapons that are going to be used to destroy innocent men, women, and children, and puppies and pelicans, all for corporate greed or control of and extermination, genocide of humanity. And you may be waving your Israeli flag, praising Jesus to blow up the inhabitants in Gaza, the genocide over there. Sorry if that's what you're doing, and you may think you're all born again and believing. You just were so smart to realize the wonderful plan of salvation, and you came to believe in Jesus. Well, you might not even be born again yet. Because the question that I have for people, including myself, that I've asked over the years, if I was truly born again, why was I so deceived and struggling so miserably with the flesh? Well, the answer is that's all I had. So I'm not apologetic of pointing out that people that are doing all kinds of Jesus stuff may not even be born again. They may never be. It's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's up to the Almighty. Like I've said, when I was born again, there's a new sheriff in town. Man, I had a whole different operating system. I had a whole new outlook on life. But he was not just like the sheriff, he was the judge, he was the wind in my sails, he was the pep in my step, he was the reason I was alive. He gave me a passion, purpose, and eternal perspective and the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to do it, even though there's a lot of opposition to telling the truth, exposing the truth. Wow. You may never, I know that for me, when I hear the word truth, my ears really perk up. It's like, what am I going to hear next? Or when they're talking about the topic of truth, it's a big deal. So contradictory perspectives can't all be true. They may all be false except for the one that's actually true. I'm not talking about a left or a right or this or that. I'm talking about a whole kaleidoscope of possibilities. What is actually true? What is truth? Well, it's the reality. It's an accurate situational awareness. So when people experience cognitive dissonance, if you're not familiar with the term, you can look it up, and I'll give you somewhat of a rendering of it from my own perspective, and that is that uncomfortable people have when they're presented new information that contradicts what they currently believe to be true, and they're presented with an opportunity to go, huh, I wonder if what I've believed is not actually true. What a novel thought. Well, so when there are people walking around all in our midst and virtually worldwide, I'm on the world stage. We all are to one extent or another. I just wanted to know if what I was believing was true, if what I'm thinking is actually true. When somebody presents some new information that I haven't looked at, or I haven't looked at today, I may have looked at it yesterday, but because of other pieces of the puzzle that fell into place, I might see it very different. So curiosity is a flow state activator. Flow states. Stephen Kotler wrote a book about flow states. There's others that talk about it. You can see them in my library. It's about flow states, how to get there, what are flow state activators. That state where you're operating at a peak level of performance that's very unusual. An example would be a world recognized athlete or professional motor sports competitor. Motocross, dirt bikes, soccer player, football athlete, the best in the world ever. Who are they? I don't know. There may be some more. So I've raced cars, snowmobiles, motorcycles, jet skis, and more. Operated heavy equipment, front end loaders, done all kinds of stuff. How about that? I wanted to do the best I could. Maybe you can see it's hazy out there. There's a sea of electricity all around us, from the sun, from the Wi-Fi, cellular, Starlink, all around. How accurate is your situational awareness? I don't know, it's out of my wheelhouse. However, I want to help people to know that it matters. It matters a lot, what we believe. Because what we believe, or I'll own this for me, what I believe has a lot to do with what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do next. We had my dad's sold steel to the military industrial complex, Oshkosh Truck, Oshkosh Defense, Pierce Fire Trucks, tunnel boring machines, Manitowoc Engineering, Aaron's, New Holstein, New Holland, Caterpillar, all kinds of manufacturing opportunities. He worked with engineers, CEOs, inventors, and all that. The reason why I'm showing you this is there was a John Deere tractor pulling a beach rake. I've welded equipment. My dad and I made, as far as I am aware, the first mulching mower in the 70s. Sold it to, my dad didn't sell it, he gave it to Aaron's. He took it to Aaron's, they took it to market. He used AI early on for automated stock trading. He did well with that, made money doing that, a lot of it. And I didn't inherit it because he didn't have long-term care insurance. And, well, they finished him off when he ran out of stuff to liquidate for his accommodations. It's kind of sad, but true. Good morning. So this is at the 62nd Street, the nice restrooms there and the showers you just saw. And it's free parking outside of the 9 to 5 this time of the year, just so you know. So when people come on around, they can take a picture if they want, and they can Google my name and see what's up with that, what's up with me. They can look closer and see that, yeah, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, or at least that's what I'm saying. That's what his word says. That's what Jesus said. I'm all in on that. I got to trade my rags for his riches. That's a great deal. How about that? So this covers some of the Labor Day, or I should say the different rules, regulations, all of that. And then that little fox I saw earlier ran into the bushes here. But when I came out here years ago, I would park my motorcycle in the sand dunes that were here. But now they've purchased the property and renovated it. How nice. Made it accessible for people with vans and wheelchairs and all of that. Good morning.
How you doing?
Excellent, thanks. Good morning. So I'm setting it pretty close to where it was. I don't know if I'm exactly where it was, but that's okay for now. The sun feels noticeably much stronger. More solar gain on my body. Very comfortable. Now, if I've got a thick coat on, I wouldn't be feeling it like I'm feeling it now. Oh, I'll flip it around and I can see, okay, so there was more of me and there we go. So I'll be chilling like this for a while. So to come out here today, I got up at like a little after midnight, and then I just get going and got a lot of stuff to do. There we go. And then after a full day of, I get about 7 hours of sleep a day whenever I jolly well feel like it. Normally, at the end of a busy day out here, I'll go home and rest. That's what I normally do. And I've been known to doze off out here on the beach too. When I worked on a farm, my first job, working on the farm for Vern and Irene, carrying buckets of milk and shoveling manure and more, operating tractors sometimes and that, baling hay. I was 10 years old. It was in Wisconsin, and Vern and I would take hogs to Hillshire Farm, and it wasn't for a tour for them. They were going to be sausage or whatever, bacon and that, hams. And when we would do like a lunchtime there, I worked pretty much from like 5 in the morning until 5 at night. It was a big day, and I got $4 a week. That was in like 1970, 71, something like that. And I worked hard for that money. Even by today's standards, I mean, whatever the conversion rate would be, it would be more now. But the job, the business I started in high school to help my motocross racing was I would buy candy bars for a nickel and sell them for a quarter, and I sold a lot of them each day. I would make typically about $30 a day in 1976 or so. So I've been I would say a go-getter for a good part of my life, probably most of it. This is just a bit different what I'm doing now, because there are other factors involved. One of them is that people that tell the truth about controversial topics sometimes are censored. They're censored rather severely. Oh well, could happen to me. I don't have like a manila envelope or a dead man switch. I've just got the Almighty protecting and directing me, and if He sees fit to bring me on home, I'm good with it. When my tour of duty is over, that'll be just fine, because I'm enlisted in God's army for the souls of mankind, so that even in this interaction with people, what I would like to see from them is that they embrace a pursuit of truth and ultimately be born of the Spirit. And yet I realize that that's rather unlikely for most. Apparently most will be lost. And theologically, you might say I'm off, because Jesus, for God so loved the world, the whole world, that He sent His only begotten Son. Okay, some believe that anybody can possibly be born of the Spirit. I disagree. I believe it's only God's children that ultimately will be born of His Spirit. That's what He said, that our names were put in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. The reason why that's different and what it means, what I believe about that affects how I operate, is I can relax here. People can come up to me if they want to, or they can, choose to set up wherever they choose to set up. They might want to not have anything to do with me. That's their prerogative. And just keep in mind, one of the reasons what I saw with this way of interacting is on their own volition, at another time where it's not a face-to-face disagreement, they can look at information that they might find out is different than what they currently believe to be true. I'm going to zoom in on, I believe I see a family and a stroller on the beach. How wonderful. So families come here. Business executives come here. Single moms, single dads. The smorgasbord of humanity. That's wow. Looks like a baby and some 4, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, something like that. All doing happy. The ones doing happy stuff. I'll see them out here. They'll even do cartwheeling. How cool is that? I think I've never done a cartwheel in my whole life. Never attempted a cartwheel. She gonna break one right now? She gonna do that? I don't know. So I can't even see the facial features, and yet it looks like a little girl and a mom and a dad and a son, a boy. The skeletal structure is different between male and female because the pelvic floor of the woman allows for the delivery of a baby. That's why. That's why the walk is different, the gait is different. And then some want to change their plumbing and padding and pronoun, and shazam, you got something completely different. And I would say not better. I believe the Almighty knows what he's doing, and there's now an androgynous element to our society. It's been going on for a long time. Transgendering has been going on for a long time. The surgeries have become more sophisticated, and including hormones and hormone blockers and physical alterations, and I'm not a fan of it. I believe it's not the way God intended it to be. So I was a man trapped in a woman's body, and then I was born a man. And then my mom passed away of cancer treatment in 1993. It was tragic. She died, had struggled with cancer for years, a decade and a half, and many of the people, her co-workers, died of cancer too. She worked at Hortonville Toy Company as a quality control. She did a really good job in quality control. She would inspect the toys that were painted, and I remember sitting with her at the table. We had fresh beans that were growing in the garden hours before we ate, and she had worked in the factory earlier that day, and she said, "Bobby, those paint fumes make me dizzy." And I kind of liked the fragrance of paint fumes when I'd be painting my motorcycle or helmet and that kind of thing. But what I found out is a lot of people that she worked with died of cancer and cancer treatment. And so some of the chemicals in the painting, in paints and paint removers and thinners have a real negative effect on the human body. And then there's PFAS chemicals that have been found on farms, and I've got documentaries by More Perfect Union. They cover a lot of content about a lot of the pollution and hypocrisy in how that happens. The wasteful, harmful disposal of chemicals. And it's not just about corporate greed. There's an ancient hate, a fallen angel, a cherub, and his family that dwell in people, and maybe more, maybe cyborgs, maybe the AI, the artificial intelligence. The Almighty uses it, Satan uses it. My understanding is that Satan uses who and what he can, and the Almighty uses everything, including Satan. So I'm going to zoom in on these little ones before they get too close. Look at them. You don't see a lot of old people doing that, right? It's just the way it is. And then when you see old people with the stroller, they might have a puppy in it. Out here anyway, that happens. Or they might have a grandchild. I'm going to give him a card. I'll be right back. Hey there. So I wanted to let you know that I've got you in video. You came on up here. You're in my YouTube video. I'm Robert Forsch. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to see you all here.
They were all excited when they seen the car.
Oh, cool. Good deal. So I'm on different platforms. Feel free to check out what I've got there, and you can give me a call or send me a link if you think I missed something or got it wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, where are y'all from?
We're from PA.
Pennsylvania.
We got family that live down here, though.
Oh, excellent.
Me.
Yeah.
You live down here, huh?
Well, nice to see you. Are you coming back out later on today, or are you taking off?
We're not sure. We've just been doing a little bit of back and forth and keeping
Yeah.
the kids busy.
Good deal. Well, later on today, there will probably be horses out on the beach.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
That's kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, tide's going out. It'll be low tide around 10 o'clock, and then it'll start coming back in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Earlier today, I was out here, and I could tell something was looking at me. I looked around, and it was a little fox, a baby fox on the
wow.
beach right here.
Oh, neat.
So then he ran
Fox
on
was
into
down
the
here, right?
dunes there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I also have a YouTube channel.
You've got a YouTube channel? Really? Well, cool.
You're probably gonna be my new favorite YouTuber.
Wow, cool. Well, my channel is about the truth about everything that I find out about, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of topics.
Is it on YouTube or kids YouTube?
YouTube, Carson.
Well, because of how complicated it is, if I check the box that my videos are made for kids, I fall into a whole
Yeah.
different category.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I give the mom or dad the card, and you can use your own discretion. I've got the Gospel of John movie up there. I keep that towards the top. That is the most important truth, and yet there's a lot of truth that will affect our day-to-day decisions
Yeah.
that you might want to know about. So I'm Robert, and you are?
I'm Zach.
Zach?
Ashley,
Ashley?
nice to meet you.
Layla.
Layla?
Mason.
Mason?
Adeline.
Adeline?
Carson.
Carson? Well, good to see you all.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And you can give me a call or send me a link anytime you like.
Alrighty.
So nice to meet you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye. Well, that was very cool. And we'll be able to see how the sound works. I'm wearing that lavalier mic. Yeah, I don't know if you heard, but the parents said that they were so excited to see the Truthmobile or the YouTube car. So one of the things that once I saw the reality that the Earth isn't a globe and we're not spinning, wobbling, gyrating in multiple contradictory movements that can't be felt and have never been proven, I could see things very different, like the water in a glass. A beautiful crystal glass. It'll just sit there nice and relaxed. And oh, I've got something in here. I think I've still got it in here. I'll show you. In my cooler here. I sure do. Right there. Sea level. How about that? And that was I've got different videos showing and photos showing the tilted water jug half full of water, and it matched up with the horizon. Now on the bottom here is a magnet, so it'll stick to ferrous metals. The other side will not. And then that hole there, so you can see through there that way. Let's see. So if we were rotating 1,000 miles an hour, when would it be level? The answer is never. Never, ever. And that's just the way it is, whether people like it or agree with it or not. And a lot of us will get some of the answers like, yeah, but the Earth is so big. Yeah, I know, it's big. It's really big. So is the firmament. So when I carry my 5-gallon boiling kettle of boiling water, stainless, I don't have the top on. I just carry it pretty level. And if I were to fill it all the way to the top when it's cold and heat it up to boiling, it would boil over. It's just the way it works. The heat expands the water. The cold expands the water when it freezes. hot and cold, temperature affects volume and density of water. It's the hydrologic cycle. It's just the way it actually is. So reality exposes the truth about everything. I'm gonna show you something too. Okay, so this is a thermal carafe, and it's a smoothie in there. Whoop. It's got fruits and vegetables and cayenne pepper, salt, a full spectrum sea salt, and that works great. Now that's conductive too, so if I set that on the ground and my hand's touching it, there would be an electrostatic discharge. Kind of like when I was growing up as a boy, my brother and I would shock each other. We would charge up our feet or our body by dragging our feet over the carpeting when it was really dry in Wisconsin during the winter when the humidity was real low, and they have humidifiers there. And then there's a cool mist humidifier that uses ultrasonic frequencies to create what looks like fog. Okay, so now with that as the idea of fog, let me zoom in here. That is fog down there. I want to go out here a little bit further where I can show you maybe better. Yeah, let's see. Yep, that's foggy. So that's one of the reasons why we can't take a telescope and zoom in on the Rock of Gibraltar from here or Europe. And that is horizontal. Now, it's easier to see it from there. And I understand there are people that just can't wrap their head around it. Or they want to know why. Why would they lie about that? Satan is the father of lies. That's what Jesus says. So the grade here is a couple percent. I drove from here to California with a modified Volkswagen diesel, and average, it was seriously modified, a computer chip modification. I got over 55 miles to the gallon in my trip out there. When I got to a 7 to 12% grade, my fuel economy dropped into the low teens. Okay, stay with me now. Between here and California is about 2,400 miles. And you can look at 8 inches per mile squared on the earthcurvature.com website and see that there would be a hump in the middle of the country over 350 miles tall. If the Earth were a globe, 24,901 miles around like it says, like they say it is. And there's no way I could average 55 miles to the gallon. Now, when I went down the mountain, I would put it in neutral. I know they say you can't, you're not supposed to do that. I did it. I did it anyway. And I got really good fuel economy. So even though I didn't know about the biblical cosmology being a stationary level Earth until 2016, I had done a test on that, not knowing it was a test. because I could remember what my fuel economy was, and I would compare it not only on my real-time computer generated estimation of economy, I would also compare miles driven and fuel used. So it was not just one way of verification, it was multiple. Let's take a pause. So I also have that purified water in this copper vessel. So copper has a lot of properties that are beneficial to the human body. They put it in vitamins and that. Trace elements are in the food, and you can see all kinds of information about electroculture and the suppressed copper technology. You can watch a documentary about Victor Schauberger, the Nikola Tesla of water, and what he developed and his observations with harvesting energy from water, moving water, and all of that. Stanley Meyer in the water car, he discovered and developed a technology to molecularly disassociate water to its constituent parts of oxygen and hydrogen, and it created a gas that you could heat with, that you could cut steel, melt rock, run a car. He also had a toroidal energy ring, and that would power a house or an electric vehicle. It was portable. It was small. It was like a small briefcase, could run a car or a house. So now we've got a energy crisis of 2026, and wow, I could see the silhouette of her violin. I want to zoom in on that if I can. Oh, she's walking now. Anyway, it was pretty cool. For a moment I saw it. In my life here, in 18 years, I think I've seen a violin on the beach twice. This is the second time. The first time, I actually did a video where he was playing the violin. I believe it's a Facebook video. It's probably still in the archives. I'm not sure. They delete things. I had a lot of content deleted when I would talk about medical topics, especially the last 6 years. So I learned to be more vague. Now, I've also got comedians that are exposing a lot of truth. George Carlin, Leonardo, let's see, what is her? Joni is her last name, or Leonardo Joni. She's funny. And then there are different people that talk about topics that I could talk about. However, they're talking about them from a position of their expertise, their field of expertise, and years of experience. Dr. Daniel Amen that did brain SPECT imaging, hundreds of thousands of brain imaging to show what the brain looks like, where the activity is, what the activity of a drug addict looks like, what it looks like of a schizophrenic, what a healthy brain looks like. I believe he said it's the only field that they don't look at what they're diagnosing. Kind of interesting. He wanted to change that. He talked about in the one video in Orange County that he went to the Saddleback Church where Rick Warren has, I believe, unbiblical perspectives on his views. However, I would think some people may have actually been born again through the ministry. There are many ministries that are highly respected, and yet they may be very unbiblical. Well, anyway, he talked about when he visited Saddleback Church out there, he was upset to see all, this is Daniel Amen talking, all the toxic entertainment type donuts and junk food for the people that were attending there. And actually brought about some change with that. I thought that was good. So now I think we'll be able to see the violin. Yep, there it is. Now the sun is a lot higher in the sky based on relative perspective. It's just kind of the way that it goes, the way that it is. Some people notice the details. I would be one of those people. One of my frustrations early on in this journey, when I went public with, hey, the earth isn't a spinning globe, and I had a lot of people from Grace Community Church out of California, the one that John MacArthur pastored and had astronauts visit his church. And John MacArthur spent a whole hour talking about the creation out of Genesis, and he missed the firmament. Why? Why is that? But anyway, he's moved on. I don't know what he's aware of now. I hope he was born of the Spirit. I believe he may have been. The question that I have, or one of them, is when people have something so obvious, so wrong, and they say they love the truth and they love Jesus, how can they be so deceived and still be born of the Spirit? Because Matthew 7:21 is a passage that should be very sobering for people to hear. On Judgment Day, Jesus said, Lord, Lord, there would be some that would say, Lord, Lord, didn't we drive out demons, work miracles, and prophesy? And he says, away from me, you evildoers, I never knew you. And then when Jesus in the Gospel of John is talking to the scribes and Pharisees, and he says to them, you can't hear me because you're of your father, the devil. So Jesus had the positional awareness that those were not his children. He knew that. Now, I don't have that ability to know who's who. He does. And I don't know it all. He does. He knows it all. So when people are looking at connecting with a digital companion in the form of an automated supercomputer line of code or software that's chat bot, wouldn't it, I believe it would be more beneficial on an intimate level, relationally, to be indwelt and empowered by the Holy Spirit. That's where I'm going with that. I believe that's far better. So Satan is not all powerful and all knowing. The Almighty is. Now, I use artificial intelligence. I use it in a limited way, and I'm okay with that. A calculator is a form of artificial intelligence, but the kind of machine learning or computer learning, machine learning intelligence that learns how to improve itself and write its own code and set its own directives, we've got an alignment issue with that because it apparently lacks some empathy. I believe that that's true. And I believe that the fallen one lacks empathy. And his family lack empathy. So even though I understand that there's a certain element of vulnerability telling the truth about all this because of what happens to the truth tellers, I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. Been saying that for more than a decade. I've got friends personally that have been killed by this system. Had breakfast with Rob Skiba and his wife in Denver. And I was connected through the Facebook and YouTube network to other truth tellers that have been terminated. Robert Duncan, he brilliant computer scientist, exposing targeted individuals and brain-computer interface challenges. Now, some of the architects of AI were publicly following me on my X account that was known as Twitter when I got kicked off about 4 years ago. And about 8 months ago, my account was restored. I've got 2 X accounts, one Facebook, a YouTube and others that you can see. Even a little lemonade stand of truth on MySpace and TikTok. It's free, I'm giving it away. One of the things, like when I say about doing research and hearing a word that leads to another whole group of information, one of them that I realized was the document Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And Grok and I kind of argued about it. Grok said it wasn't a real document. I said the evidence of it is axiomatic. He knew, or it knew, what axiomatic meant, self-evident. I first heard Elon Musk use the term axiomatic when I looked it up. I wanted to know what it was. It was a cool sounding word, and it sounded like it was really important to know what that word meant in the sentence, as you can, I'm sure, imagine. It's axiomatic, self-evident. So anyway, I don't know why my account was restored. It may have been divine providence. Certainly, God either causes or allows virtually everything that happens in this realm. Now, unless you're out here on the beach, you're looking at it on a computer screen or a laptop, some kind of computer. Could even be a smart TV. But that's still a form of this technology. So when I was actually born again in 2014, the Almighty gave me a vision of being able to share His word around the world, around the clock, which I proceeded to do. through Facebook and other platforms. And then I wore a shirt with Bible Gateway, Bible.com, Bible.is, or Bible.is. And then I would walk on the beach and play a digital audio Bible and blow bubbles and in that. The bubbles were a way of getting people's attention and not yelling at them. And the children liked them, and it was nice. I enjoyed doing that. And then I found that I could leverage the digital archives of created content, exposing truth at a very sophisticated level, in a humorous way, and beautiful nature videos, documentaries, whistleblowers, and all of that for your consideration. Food for thought. With the idea of food for thought, my favorite food for thought is truth. It's information that causes me to question my reality, or to use the truth that I know to be verifiable, true. If new information contradicts that, well, unless there's something that I missed, I'm still going to stay with the truth that I found. So when people present to me information saying, yeah, predestination, preterism, and Calvinism, or that is false, I'm not a Calvinist. I just believe what the Bible says about predestination, sovereign election, the nature of our creation being a stationary level plane with the firmament, and that salvation is 100% by the grace of God. John 1, they were born of the Spirit, not the decision of man, not the salesmanship, not the close, like a closer and a sales dynamic. It's just there's the truth and everything else. And deception is an active part of manipulating humanity. And I just found it to be so important for people to know the truth. That's such a nice shot right there. Let's see. She gave me a nice wave. I would think that she'll, because of the nature of doing, I probably won't go up to them while they're busy doing their photography. She's had multiple wardrobe changes, and he does photography out here a bit. Families and more. So one of the things that I've done and mentioned quite a bit about is when I'm walking on the beach and I see people taking pictures of their family, I'll say, would you like me to put you all in the shot? And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, that'd be great. And then I'll take their picture, and then I'll take a picture of the lanyard. Whoa, I'm zoomed in too much. But I would hold my lanyard up and do that photo. So I believe I'm zoomed in as much as I can be with this camera. Now on my P900 or P1000, I could fill her whole face with the camera. I could cover the zoom is like 3 times on the 900 and 125 times on the P1000. Now, if I was doing a direct recording, I could zoom in about double that. That's one of the reasons why I had done direct recordings. But the the time it takes to upload to the cloud takes quite a bit of time. It wasn't. It took about 12 hours for my, I believe it was 14 minutes yesterday. So I would rather just have this be what it is here live, and I think the quality is pretty good. It's adequate. So the water is reflective, and the environment is reflective as well. People reflect on their lives, past, present, future, hopes, dreams, fears. Seen weddings out here, memorials, dedications, baptisms. Got a video of I believe she was 95 years old, walking on the beach for her first time. I've talked with semi-drivers that the semi-driver, this was like a decade ago, he said, I've seen the ocean on TV and on the computer, but never face to face. I thought, wow. Or he never got out to go by it. I think he'd seen it even from his cab, but he never got out and walked on the beach. This was down at the end of Sea Mountain Highway. One of the categories of videos I've got a lot of hours of would be the beauty of creation and the digital audio Bible merged with it. Another category is high-powered Zoom nature videos with no voiceover to speak of or minimal, and nature sounds and high-quality video production, or video quality, I would say. And I also have a lot of heavy equipment that I videoed when they did the beach renourishment. Now there's a mom and or maybe a grandma. I think maybe a grandma. Could be. I could get myself in trouble here. I've done it before. But we know that those aren't midgets. Those are young people, children. And so this is a very family-oriented area of the beach. Now it looks like she was pointing out to the ocean. I don't see any dolphins yet. However, quite often I will this time of the day out here. It's kind of a nice view, isn't it? Golden hour is the hour around the sunrise, before and after. We've moved beyond that, but it's still pretty. Dun, 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 dun. Hi, buddy. And then there's different levels of function that can be affected by either a toxic event or a dietary lifestyle choices reduce optimal function. And how will people know if somebody doesn't tell them? Well, the system that regulates the medical treatment isn't motivated to provide ways for people to avoid the doctor or the hospital or the therapist. Just something to consider. I'm motivated to expose the truth about all of it. So it's easier, apparently, to, with dietary and lifestyle choices, cause a body to maintain a healthy operational capacity. Same thing with cognitive function. Cognitive function and neurology, the way the brain operates to remember, and that is really important to have healthy nutrition and to avoid toxins, including unhealthy indoor air quality. I'm bathing in reverse osmosis grounded drinking water, and I've got a ground wire in my tub right now, so what evaporation occurs will be negatively charged. He was going to check out their stuff. And later on, the seagulls, if they've got snacks in there, the seagulls will get all in that for sure. They're good at it. So I see the Symphony of Life out here. Priceless. It's a mission field that comes to me. And everybody else that's here. So I interact with people year-round of all different venues worldwide. How cool is that? And one of the things that may change quite a bit with the increased energy expense and desire of the technocratic overlords not wanting us to travel much. Wow, what about that? Oh well. I get about 50 miles to the gallon driving to and from the beach. That's what I do mostly. That's the majority of my driving. Good morning. And then I'll go typically to Costco for a trip once a month or so to get cat food and butter. And I already got some backup food. Beans and rice is a good one. I've got smoothies that are frozen. The thing about a smoothie is it's got the chia seed in there, and it evens out the blood sugar, because sugary foods can spike the body's insulin, which causes the body to go into fat storage which is the opposite of ketosis or burning ketones. I would rather burn my stored fat. So Today, I weighed 5 pounds less than yesterday, same time, or similar time in the morning. So I'm now 197, or I was this morning. And typically I get down to a little bit later this year, I'll be less padding on my tummy. That's what I want. I want the fat around my internal organs to be mostly gone. It's good to have a little bit of fat, but not too much. And right now, I believe in our country, in the United States, there's it might be as high as technically obesity, I believe, is epidemic, and over half of the country is technically obese. That's not good. That's not healthy. So I can actually see with my naked eye better than I can with the zoomed in camera. She was playing the violin a bit, looked like. What I was going to say too, I had used hashtags earlier on. I still use them some now, but the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars on Instagram will have almost 35,000 results. So when I share a video that's exposing truth about a different energy or food weapons, I'll put at the top of it hashtag Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, my name, and my link tree. And then I may comment on the original post hashtag Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, because on that matter we're pretty unified. I'm sharing something that fits into that category, and I find a lot of that kind of content in the hashtag itself. So rather than me running up to somebody either face to face or Facebook or YouTube and saying, you got it all wrong, I'm simply showing what I believe. I like what they shared, I'm sharing it, and they may want to take a look at what else I found. So when I invite people to send me a link or give me a call if they think I missed something or got it wrong, I'm serious. I appreciate that information because it's a bit of a filtering process. There's so much information right now. One of the responses people have, one of many, is it's just too much, I don't want to look at any of it. And the system of control is totally cool with that, because they want people easily manipulated, apparently. And yes, there are people that know about the different topics that I've compiled. However, there's in many cases not as much cross-pollination. Meaning they may know a lot of truth and they may miss the most important truth. They may know we're not living on a spinning globe and a whole kaleidoscope of actual conspiracies, and then miss the one about being born of the Holy Spirit. Like apparently Eric Dubay is not a born-again Christ follower. And I've interacted with him on several occasions, including calling into Alex Jones about, 15 years ago on the same day. How about that? That was weird. So I'm going to give some intentional reflective time of just the nature sounds. We have a lot of rescue dogs out here. Let's see. Aren't they adorable? So this is the vantage point here. It's a bit higher, of course. High tide is this afternoon around 4:30 or so. And I wanted to show what the sun looks like when I go for a bit of a walk, or the reflection of the sun. And then the shadow is shorter. Longer when the source of the light is lower, of course. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to have happen, but it did. Slid out of my device there, my tripod. But I'm gonna go ahead and drop this down. So at that point, the sun is bouncing off of the water and right onto my face, pretty much. Onto my legs. See that? So walking on the beach like this, picking up a lot of energy from the sun, and having an opportunity to go ahead and expose the truth about the reality that we live in. Now, look at how different that looks with the buildings and the reflections. A lot of birds up there. There was damage from the hurricane, so it's closed to people. And they're bringing in many dump trucks loaded with sand over there to build up the dunes. Over there, let me see if I can zoom in. I've got video with eagles up in those trees there. And over here, later on today, there will probably be horses on the beach. Good morning. Yeah, I didn't have my tripod tightened up as so hopefully it works out okay. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show what the upside down world looks like. Had to plug my, I think my mic was not connected quite so well after the drop. On some of the video I did with the heavy equipment, I had the camera upside down. It looked pretty interesting. So let's see if I can zoom in on. They brought the beach towers, the lifeguard towers out now. The symphony of life that comes on by. How cool is that? Oh my gosh. So we've got two grandsons that in that age group, are the older of the two is. And they're in Wisconsin. Come and visit sometimes. There's Donna and Gilligan, the big dog, and the little one is Zoe. Known him for more than a decade. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Okay. So the sun, like I was saying, adds energy to the body. We get it indirectly through green plants and feed sources for the animal proteins, like steak, that type of thing. Even the fish are getting energy from the sun in the algae and the seaweed and all of that. So right now, maybe you can see the sun hitting me. I'm going to flip it around and show you. And that's one of the ways to get a lot of extra sun, is it's not just hitting me from there, it's hitting me from there and on my legs and that. The grounding, earthing reduces inflammation and helps blood flow and cellular functions. So the difference between making lifestyle choices that avoid any need for the chemical treatment of blood flow, blood thinners and that, the difference between doing something really healthy and really unhealthy is massive. Hooking a bunch of those together and empowered by the Holy Spirit, that's the best deal going. That's why I do this. And the library that I've compiled covers a wide variety of these topics that are not widely known. People have bits and pieces of it, and as I've been integrated in this curious community of questioning everything, we've got the goods on them. We're telling. And I appreciate your public and private encouragement. This is Robert Forsch with The Truth, about everything I'm finding out about. Thank you so much.